I hate this. I do not want to do this every day. I was this close to throwing in the towel. I wanted to ball cry. It was just like, I don't want to do this anymore. It's so difficult. It got to the stage where I was really just despising going to the gym, and oh my God, I have to go and get this done. So I've made a PDF document of my whole workout plan that I followed throughout 75 Hard. I'm giving my all to all of this for 75 days. Nobody's going to distract me. Nobody's going to get in my way. Last week I finished the 75 Hard challenge, and in this video I want to discuss what I've learned and what I've taken away from completing the full challenge. So what is 75 Hard? So for anybody that doesn't know, 75 Hard is a 75-day challenge, and in those 75 continuous days you have to complete numerous rules each day. The rules include doing 2 workouts a day. One has to be outdoors. You're not allowed any alcohol, no cheat meals. You have to drink 3 to 4 litres a day, you have to take a progress picture every day, and you have to read 10 pages of a non-fiction book every day. So you have to do all of those rules for 75 days straight without breaking any of them. If you break any of them, you have to start again at day 1. And basically when you complete all those rules consistently over 75 days, you have completed the challenge. I have a big list on things that I've learned from completing the 75 Hard challenge, all the pros, all the cons, and everything in between. So we're going to get into this, and then in the end of this video I'm going to do a question and answer section because a few of you sent in questions asking things about the challenge, which I will answer then at the end. So I suppose the first thing I want to discuss is why I did the challenge. So of course it's challenging, of course it's hard, 75 Hard, but the main reason I did it was discipline for work. So when my training and exercise life is on point, my work life goes hand in hand with that. Like, I am so disciplined for work when my training life is that way as well. Another reason I wanted to do it was to cut out alcohol. So back home in Ireland, and especially here in New York City, alcohol is a massive part of the culture. It's a massive part of socializing. And I kind of just wanted to challenge myself to go all in for 75 days straight with my training and especially with my work, and to see what I could achieve. And the results have been ridiculous. Like, with my social media, with my work growth, and with physically how I look as well, progression wise, the results have just been crazy. So I got out of it what I wanted 100%, but I will just preface that 75 Hard is not sustainable in the long term whatsoever. Okay, let's get into what I learned from doing 75 Hard. So the first thing that I took away from completing 75 Hard is discipline. The challenge has taught me to be such a disciplined individual. So because it's such a long process, like 75 days of doing these things day in, day out, it is hard. What it kind of trains you to do, and what my experience was with it, was you don't attach yourself to the end goal. Essentially, because it's so far away, you just wake up and you're like, right, I have these tasks to do today, I have to just do these today, and you literally don't even think about tomorrow or the next day or the next day. You just think about the day at hand and making sure you get all of those things ticked off. And that was really good, because I think in a lot of things, when it comes to work or when it comes to a physical goal or whatever the case may be, a lot of people can fixate on an end goal and then they give up because they're so far away from it. That was not the case with 75 Hard. It was literally just wake up and get this day done, and then the next day you wake up and you get that day done, because like I said, it's just such a long period of time between day 1 and day 75 that if you were to think about day 75, you'd probably give up around like day, I don't know, 15 or something. So yeah, it taught me a lot of discipline, and it really kind of reiterated the point to focus on each day as it comes and to enjoy the process per se, rather than attaching to the end goal, and you'll get there much faster than focusing on the end goal, if that makes sense. One massive thing I have took home from this challenge is the habits that I've formed. So obviously I've been doing these things day in, day out for 75 days straight, so they are just part of my day to day now, that even when I was on day 76 and the challenge was complete, it was weird for me not to have to go to the gym, or not to have to go outside for a 45-minute walk, or not to have the need to read 10 pages of my book. Like, it was just so strange because I have just been doing it every single day for the whole 75 days. So yeah, I have built insane habits, and my aim is to keep up those habits as much as I can. Of course, alcohol, I did go out and I celebrated being finished the challenge, so I do have alcohol back in my life, but not in a huge capacity at all. And like, even with that being said, I wasn't a massive drinker beforehand, but even now I am much more aware, I suppose, of the effects of alcohol on me in terms of productivity, concentration, discipline, motivation, and just even energy levels. Like, you just feel shite after a couple of pints, and I can confirm that that was the case from my first night, or my first day after my first night drinking, being finished the challenge. But I'll get into more on the alcohol side of things later on in the video, because I have a massive point on that. One thing that was massive was I didn't miss takeaways. So for example, like if I was ever to crave a pizza before the challenge, I just get a pizza. I have such a good relationship with food. No meal in my eyes is a cheat meal. It's just a less nutrient dense piece of food. I didn't even crave them, and like, even if I did, for example, if pizza popped into my head and I'd be like, oh, I'd love a pizza, I just found ways to make alternatives to the things that I was craving, for example. So if I was ever craving a pizza, what I did was I would make an egg wrap with light cheese in it, and then that would be my pizza per se. Obviously I know it's not a pizza, but it completely satisfied my craving. So yeah, it was amazing to like find alternatives to like things that I wasn't able to have, for example, which was really, really good to have. And believe it or not, I really enjoyed life without alcohol. Like, I mean, the past 75 days have been the most productive days in my self-employed life, and I went self-employed over 2 years ago. It was wake up every single day and work on something, work. And the thing is, right, when you've gone out and you've drank, you are so unmotivated, you're so lethargic, you're so low on energy, concentration is not there. We all know what it's like, basically. So trying to force yourself to work, and especially when you work in a creative space, like your creative brain is just not functioning after alcohol. So I had just a complete creative flow for that whole time I was doing the challenge. And I still do now, but I've just noticed that alcohol just completely shuts off my creative brain. So for that whole period of time, for the whole time of doing the challenge, my content I got so much better at it, and I was enjoying it so much more as well. And work was just like, it was focused work. I was focused on what I was doing, and I've like done so much with like future projects that I'm bringing out in January, for example. I've done so much with them in a much shorter space of time than it would have taken me before if alcohol was in my week to week. So a massive take home point on the alcohol side of things. Another thing I took away from completing 75 Hard is it showed to me the type of person that I am. So I am a type of person that if I say I'm going to do something, I will do it. And like 75 Hard was so hard, and like there was days that I did not want to do it. I was traveling in the middle of it. I moved country in the middle of it. Would not recommend. Yeah, it basically just strengthened my character, which then strengthened my mindset and how I see myself, which has been fantastic for my mindset. I know I touched on this in the first point, but genuinely I have become so disciplined with work and with training life. Like, I woke up every single day. So with the I actually forgot to mention this, but with the 75 Hard rules, I added an extra rule in for myself. It was to post one piece of content every single day throughout the challenge. So I documented my whole journey over on my Instagram page and on my TikTok, and every single day I had to record a video of my whole process, and I had to edit it that night, and I had to post it that day. And like, that was so tough because you're doing that day in, day out for 75 days. But I had the discipline from training, which I was obviously seeing the change in myself, and then I had the discipline for work, which I was obviously seeing growth in my work, which was brilliant. And then of course, over the course of 75 days of editing, I got progressively better at that craft as well. And for me, who my job is content creation, to improve in that, it's been incredible, like absolutely amazing. So that was another thing that I have learned and that I did take away from doing the 75 Hard challenge. During the challenge, I did notice that I didn't think twice about the things I had to do. I just woke up every day and I was like, right, I have to do this. I can't go to bed until all of these things are done. So I suppose it's just kind of goes back to the point where I was saying how it built on my character, because I said to myself, I'm going to complete this challenge, so I have to do these things. And yeah, every day I woke up, I was like, right, these are the things I have to do today. I have to get done, as well as getting all my work things done and everything in between, which was very stressful. But I can't even describe the feeling when I finished the challenge. And I noticed in myself that I did all of this, like the whole 75 days. I did not give up. And although like it was so hard sometimes, it was worth it for finishing it, to feel that pride in myself and to feel so overjoyed in myself for doing something incredibly hard as this. It was like delayed gratification, right? And so to have that like really, really delayed form of gratification just made the joy, I felt so much stronger, and it was such a good feeling. Like the whole day, the 75th day of 75 Hard, knowing it was the last time I was doing these things, but knowing I had done it progressively for 75 days was one of the best feelings I have ever felt. It was incredible. I'd say it's like similar to when someone runs a marathon. They've been training for months. They've been doing these things for months and months and months, and then they do the race, run the race, and then afterwards they're just like, it's like a big sigh of relief, but also overjoyed with the accomplishment that they have done, if that makes sense. That's how I would imagine it would be like to finish a marathon. Don't know if I would ever do that, but yeah, it was a really, really good day. Another thing with the 75 Hard challenge is you have to be stronger than your excuses. There are going to be far more days that you do not want to do these things than there are going to be days that you do want to do them. You just have to show up regardless and just get them ticked off. And again, that just comes back to the whole discipline side of things. You have to just be disciplined to get them done, especially when you don't want to, because I can assure you there are going to be days that you do not want to do a thing, and then you have 1,000,001 things to do in that particular day. I want to mention something that I did kind of changed my mindset and my outlook on, and that is the 0-0 beers and the 0-0 alcoholic drinks. So before, I used to look at the 0-0 beers and 0-0 alcohol and be like, why would I spend €6-7 on one of them when there's no alcohol in them and they're just like a fizzy drink, for example? That's how I used to see them. I used to be like, they're a waste of money. No. Now it's completely different. So I had a lot of the 0-0s in my day-to-day because I was still socializing as much as I could. I was still going out, and it was great to have something that kind of was similar to an alcoholic beverage, even though it wasn't alcoholic. So yeah, I've completely shifted the way I look at them, because now I'm like, it is so worth the €6-7 because I wake up in the morning, I'm not hungover, and I can get straight into work and I can be productive. But in the moment that I'm in the bar or in the pub, I feel like I'm just like everybody else having a drink, even though I know there's 0 alcohol in it. And I personally love the taste of beer. That's the hardest thing for me. I'm not a massive drinker, but I love beer. So to have like those Heineken 0-0s or the Peroni 0-0s, it was like, okay, amazing. I feel like, I know it's not 100% the same taste as beer, but it felt very, very similar to me, which was great, because when I was out and I couldn't have beer, I had that there. So my outlook on those 0-0 drinks has completely shifted, and I'm really grateful for that, because there probably will be nights out, and if I don't want to drink alcohol, or I have something big that I need to do the next day and I can't even have 1 or 2 because it really, really messes with like my concentration and my creativity and my focus, I'll just opt for the 0-0s, and I'll be happier to spend the €6-7 on them, or whatever price they are, because I know they differ in price from Ireland to America. So a lot of people were like, how on earth did you do the 75 hard while you were moving country and while you were in that transitionary period? Right now I'm like, I have no idea. Honestly, I have no idea how I did it, but I'm really glad I did. And I'm really glad that my first month and a half here in New York City was a time that I wasn't allowed alcohol. So in New York, a lot of the social life, a lot of the events, and basically everything actually social wise, there is alcohol there. Alcohol is everywhere when it comes to events, when it comes to social scene basically. And you can often get to a case where you could be having like a few drinks probably 5 or 6 days a week if you're going to multiple events, because they're just there. But I obviously couldn't have any alcohol at these events, so I was completely sober. I was getting to know new people completely sober, turning up to these events completely sober, and it just showed to myself that I'm well able to do this and I don't really need alcohol as a crutch. And it's not that I ever used alcohol as a crutch before, but it's just a way easier thing to do, to grab the Prosecco or to grab the bottle of beer or whatever the case may be when you're in an event situation, because it just kind of, like liquid courage, it kind of loosens you up a small bit and you chat away then. But I had none of that. I was fully like sober in all of these events, especially I remember after the marathon we went to a pub and everybody was very drunk, all celebrating of course, and I was stone cold sober, and I was there and I was having a great time and I was sipping on my 0-0s, and it was just so great to be able to do that and to say that you can do that. Like I can sit and stand sober in a pub and be okay with that. So I'm really, really glad that I did this challenge in the transition to moving to New York City, because it has really, really taught me that I can live here and I can socialize here without the need for alcohol, which I know, even speaking to a lot of people living here now in New York City, is something that people often struggle with, the amount of alcohol that is around all the time when it comes to events, and then obviously the effect it has psychologically and mentally on a person. So yeah. Okay, I want to talk about the negatives of doing 75 hard and what I noticed from my experience in doing the challenge. So the first thing I noticed is my strength within the gym went to 0. It is not sustainable whatsoever to train 7 days a week, let alone do 2 workouts every single day for 7 days a week. So my body was not able for that. And over the course of the 75 hard challenge, my strength plummeted so much. Like I cannot lift as much as I was lifting before. So yeah, that was a massive con from doing the challenge. And just even to get the point across, like it's not sustainable to do this challenge for a long period of time. Like nobody would ever go to the gym or exercise twice a day, every single day of their life. Like you need rest days. You really, really need rest. And my body really, really needed rest at times, but of course I had to keep doing these things. But yeah, one massive thing was my strength really, really decreased whilst doing the challenge. On top of that, 75 hard made the gym feel like a chore to me rather than something I really enjoy spending my time doing. I had to go to the gym every day. I had to show up and get my indoor session done every single day, and it got to the stage where I was really just despising going to the gym. And from someone who's been a gym goer for almost 10 years now, I've never had a period of time where I was like, oh my god, to go and get this done. And it was really sad, to be honest, but I knew it wasn't going to last forever, obviously, because the challenge would eventually end. But yeah, it just really made the gym feel like a chore and something I really didn't like doing. And a massive part for me when it comes to resistance style training, strength training, is their performance. I always focus on my sports performance when I'm playing sports, or my gym performance when I'm lifting, for example. And that was completely taken away because my strength had plummeted so much based on how overly active I was being by doing the challenge. So yeah, another thing was the gym started to be a chore rather than something I loved, and that was really, really tough to get my head around, and then to still show up every single day to get it done. And that just ties into the point where it is not sustainable whatsoever to do this long term. Like, I usually only train 3 to 4 days a week. I have my rest days. I do my walks every day. Like, I still am active, but resistance style training, I do not train every day. No way whatsoever. So having to train every day whilst doing the challenge was difficult for sure. A piece of advice: do not travel or move country whilst doing the 75 hard challenge. During my 75 hard experience, I was in 4 or 5, I can't remember, different countries. And then on top of that, I moved from Ireland to New York City whilst doing all of this. And it was tough. It was really, really tough. What I had to do to set myself up for success in those positions though was to plan out my day like hour by hour to get things done. But please do not do the challenge when you're in a very busy period of your life. It is just very, very hard, and you want to set yourself up for success. You don't want to, have to quit it, for example, and I was very close to many times. So if you're in one place at one time, it will be a lot easier. So please don't travel a lot, and please don't move country whilst doing the 75 hard challenge. Another negative that I did take away from doing the 75 hard challenge was I didn't socialize as much as I usually would. Now, that is down to the alcohol side of things, not drinking, but it's also down to I was so tunnel vision on my goals. Like, I was like, I'm giving my all to all of this for 75 days. Nobody's going to distract me. Nobody's going to get in my way. So there was a lot of nights out. There was a lot of like socializing things I would just not go to because I was like, I am so focused on getting this work thing done or this work thing done, or I have to get this task done for my 75 hard checklist on this day, for example. So I definitely wasn't as social as I usually would be, but I suppose I have reaped rewards from being like that and from being cutthroat and locking myself away and focusing on the things that I really wanted to focus in on. I suppose you can take it as a pro or a con. I kind of take it as a pro, but it can be a con as well that I didn't socialize as much. But for what I was trying to achieve over that time, it was exactly what I needed to do. But that was another thing that I took away from doing the 75 hard challenge. And then one life example of why the 75 hard challenge isn't sustainable long term was I went to Brussels in Belgium to do my embassy meeting to get my visa to come to America, and while I was there I brought my mom with me and I treated her to like stay in a hotel, and we're having a lovely mom and daughter trip. And I remember one of the nights going down for dinner and she was like, you should just get a glass of wine, just get this, just get that, to celebrate. Like, I'd done a 10-month process of, getting my visa, getting approved and moving to New York, all off the back of my own, achievements, being self-employed and being a content creator for years and stuff. And it was a celebratory moment. And usually when these things happen, you celebrate with a glass of wine or a glass of champagne or a glass of Prosecco or something. And that wasn't the case then. So I remember we were sat at dinner and Mum was loving her wine and I was there drinking my 0.0 Leffe beer. Anybody from Belgium or having lived in Belgium, I lived in Belgium before, will know that Leffe beer is the goat. But yeah, I was having my 0.0 and it was still fine. I didn't mind it. But it was just one of those moments that, usually you'd use alcohol to celebrate these occasions. So that was a con. But again, it can be flipped to a pro because now I can celebrate wins in other ways that doesn't involve alcohol, which I think is quite great as well. So for example, today I hit like a massive Instagram milestone where my account reached 1 million people in the last 30 days. And usually I'd celebrate that with like, oh my God, cheers, glass of wine. Glass of Prosecco. That's an achievement. Let's celebrate it. So I'm all for celebrating wins. But instead I was like, no, I'll go for a morning coffee and I'll celebrate that way. So I'll have my coffee and this can be my celebratory drink. So a con in the way that it may stop you from like socializing that small bit more with family and friends or celebrating in a certain way, but a pro in the way that I've completely like shifted how I celebrate things, and it doesn't necessarily have to involve alcohol all the time. And then a few last points that I have written on my sheet is usually I noticed in my life that reading takes the back seat when I'm busy, but because it was a task I had to get done every single day, I read every single day. Like, you had to read a minimum of 10 pages. And I think I finished, was it 5 or 6 books? I'm going to say 5. I think 5 books in total over the course of the challenge, which is amazing because I love reading and I love like learning and educating myself, but I put it as a task that's not prioritized when I am busy, so having to do it every day was really, really good, like having to get it ticked off. And then another thing I noticed, so if you're doing this challenge and you want to set yourself up for success, try and get as much done before midday as possible. So if there was a day that I did not wake up at like 6 or 7 or whatever the case may be and get my gym session done in the morning, it was very hard to get it done in the evening time. Get as much done as you possibly can before midday, and it's very easy to tick the things off then that way. Okay, the next part of this video is the question and answer section. So you have sent in a good few questions on Instagram about my experience doing 75 hard. So let's get into it and see what we have. First question, how did you stay consistent and not quit at all? I literally said to myself, I'm going to do this. So I did it. I literally made a promise to myself. I set the intention, and I am the type of person, if I say I'm going to do something, I'm going to do it. As hard as it's going to be, I'm going to do it, because then that just strengthens my character and strengthens the type of person I think I am, which is really, really good for my mindset. So I just said I was going to do it and showed up for myself every single day. Another thing is I didn't fixate on getting to day 75. Like, I didn't fixate on how far away it was. I just woke up every day and I was like, right, I have to take these things off today. And that was it. Just take one day at a time. Don't focus on the end goal. Just focus on each day as it comes. And then eventually day 75 does in fact arrive. You've inspired me to do it. Top tips. Main tip I would say is try get as much done as possible before midday. Like, anything that was left the evening time made it 10 times harder to do things. Something I would say, try and adapt a morning routine that does center around getting as much of the exercise part of the 75 hard done. What diet did you choose? So I wasn't on a particular diet. I just cut out all takeaway food. So no pizzas, no burgers, no chips, anything greasy. I'm a very plain eater. I eat the same things every day. So I do my shop every day in Aldi when I was back home, or Trader Joe's here, and I'd buy the same things that have the same amount of protein, that have the same micronutrients in them, for example, and I just eat them. So even, for example, just to go over that briefly, I'd have egg white, egg wrap in the morning with light cheese. I'd have a 0% fat Greek yogurt bowl with protein granola and honey. Pasta with tofu and veg was another one. Stir fry with tofu and veg. They were kind of like the main staples in my diet. I just did my shop basically every single week, and I had the amount of food in it that I needed. How did you stay consistent within the first couple of days? Honestly, the first couple of days were the easiest, because you're in that like period where you're excited to do the challenge and you're like, oh my god, this is new, let's go, let's get these things ticked off. So it wasn't the first couple of days that were hard. It was like the middle of the challenge onwards where it got hard, because you're like, oh my god, I still have so many days to go, but you've been doing it for so many days already. So first couple of days were so easy. Just plan, right? Plan when you're going to get these things done. You'll get them done then when they're planned, and it makes it a lot easier for you. What was your workout schedule? Did you have a weekly set workout plan? So it was resistance strength-based training within my gym sessions. I actually have created a PDF, which I will be sharing at the end of this video as well. But then on top of that, I was playing sports during the 75 hard. So I was playing camogie and football, Irish sports back home. I was doing Pilates, I was doing yoga, I was doing stretching, and then a lot of walking as well. But my primary gym workouts that I were doing was a program that I did up myself, because I am a PT and an online coach, so I did that for me ahead of time, but I will be sharing more about that in the end of the video. What would you say was key in your diet? Like, do you think the no alcohol was the biggest? Key in my diet, honestly, were eggs. High in protein, they keep me full. Greek yogurt as well, 0% fat Greek yogurt and protein granola. Had that every day. And coffee. Like, I really, really enjoyed coffee. And then for nights out, the 0-0 beers were so helpful, or the 0-0 alcoholic drinks. Well, non-alcoholic drinks were so helpful. Okay, what did you find to be the hardest to do each day? Depending on the time of the day, if I got my gym session done in the morning, easy. If I left my gym to the end of the day after the longest work day ever, I would say the gym. So I suppose over the course of the whole challenge, the hardest thing to do was to get myself into the gym. And the reason being is the gym just started to be a chore to me rather than something I enjoy doing and I enjoy spending my time doing. Because it's not sustainable to do 2 workouts every single day for 75 days straight. And eventually you will be like, I hate this. I do not want to do this every day. So I would say, yeah, unfortunately it was the gym workouts, but it was just because on a normal week I would never ever exercise that much. It's not sustainable in the slightest. How do you continue when you have days that you need to prioritize rest? So obviously rest is something that takes the backseat when doing this challenge. That's why it makes it hard. But what I would say on those days is go for lower intensity exercise. So on days where I was exhausted and I just physically could not go to the gym and do a strength-based exercise, what I would do is I would opt for yoga or Pilates instead. And that would be my 45-minute indoor workout then. So yeah, just changing from higher intensity resistance style strength training to just doing yoga or Pilates for a change up in routine. How did your body feel working out every day, no rest days? My body felt fine. There were days obviously where it was a small bit more tired and needed rest, but on those days I would just prioritize walking more or changing my routine to do yoga or Pilates instead of going to the gym, because that still counts, changing up your routine. You're still getting exercise in and it's still indoors, but it's just a different means of doing it. But from what I can remember, my body was never exhausted. It just knew when it didn't want to do really high intensity, heavy weight sessions, for example. So in that case, I would just, like I said, prioritize stretching, or I do yoga, or I do a Pilates class. Will you do a bulking phase now after dropping size? I don't really do COD in bulks. I literally just eat to fuel my performance. So whether that be sports, I know sports isn't on now, it's over, and I live in New York now, so never mind with that answer. But I just will be prioritizing my performance in the gym. So I'll be eating to have enough energy to lift heavier, obviously keeping my protein high for muscle repair, growth, recovery, and enjoying maybe a pizza slice here and there as well. But no, I wouldn't be bulking, no. How did you navigate travel days? I travel a lot with work. Okay, so this was so hard. On the days that I was traveling, I'd get up early at like 6 a.m. I would get my session done first thing in the morning. So when my alarm went off, as much as I didn't want to get up, I would get up and go and get my gym session done, because then it was out of the way for the day. Then I'd get my reading done after it, so straight away. Or if I knew I was going to be on a plane that day, I would just save my reading for on the plane, so bring the book with me. I've always been good at drinking water. I will literally drink, I'd say, about 5 litres a day. I just drink it all the time. I always have water with me. I even have another glass over there. Yeah, I always have water on hand, so the water was never a problem. I just bring a bottle with me to ensure I had it. And then I would pencil in a walk for the day, so that would be my outdoor 45-minute workout. If I could do the walk before I went on the plane, I would absolutely do that. It just makes your life so much easier getting everything done early on in the day. But if not, I would then pencil the walk in for when I got to the new destination per se. For example, when I went to Belgium, I woke up early, got the gym session done, I read on the plane, and then I went for a really long walk in Brussels when I got there, and I did like all the rest of the other things that were easy to get ticked off. When I came to New York, I woke up early, I did my gym session before I got the plane to New York, I read on the plane, and then the minute I got to New York, I did my walk around the city. When I was in Edinburgh, I actually found a gym when I was there, so it was an early flight, so I got to Edinburgh, found the gym, got my session done, walked around, that was my outdoor workout done, and then you get everything done throughout the day. So it was either getting the gym done really, really early when I was there and getting as much done as possible before I went on the plane, or it was find a gym when I got to my location, which I did either or. Oh, and another thing that helps with that is if it was a day that I was so chaotically busy, I would just do a 45-minute indoor yoga session in like my hotel room or something. I actually did that when I was in England. I did indoor Pilates and indoor yoga from like YouTube videos and stuff, which were 45 minutes to 50 minutes in duration, and then that would count as one of my workouts for the day as well, which really, really helped, because there was days where I was so busy that I couldn't physically go and find a gym, but in places where I could, I did. Do you think documenting it every day kept up your motivation? I wouldn't say it kept up my motivation. It, to be honest, made it harder because it was an extra rule for me to do. Like, I made that an extra rule for myself for accountability, to have to make a piece of content every single day documenting it. I enjoyed documenting it, and it'll be great to look back on to have it, but I personally think it made it harder because by the end of the day, when I was exhausted, tired anyways, I couldn't just go to sleep. I had to edit a full video to then post, because I made that rule for myself to do, and editing can take anything between 1 to 2 hours to do depending on the piece of content that you are creating. So I don't think it motivated me, no, it was just another thing I had to do, but it did make it harder for me because it was an extra thing I had to take off every day. Interesting. Which days did you find the hardest? Example, 15 to 20 or 60 to 75. There was a day, I'm not even joking, it was just before I was moving to New York. I'd just gotten back from Belgium and I was ready to throw in the towel. I actually think the day was day 35. Hold on, let me just triple check. Actually, I have a whole highlight of my 75 hard challenge on Instagram. You want to go back and watch the vlogs, but the hardest day of this challenge for me was day 35. It was a chaotically busy time, trying to move everything, trying to sort everything, but also work at the same time and get the 75 hard things ticked off. I was this close to throwing in the towel, this close. And I remember I actually put up a TikTok video being like, I actually can't do it anymore, I can't. And people who'd previously done the 75 hard challenge before, Maria is one of my friends that did it before. She actually used to be my protein manager, but she commented on my TikTok and she was like, Amy, don't, like, it's the best thing you'll ever do, keep going, you're more than halfway there. Was I more than halfway there? Well, nearly more than halfway there. And she was like, don't do it. And I didn't give up, and I'm so glad I didn't give up. Oh my god. But that day was so hard. Like, I mean so hard. I wanted to ball cry. It was just like, I don't want to do this anymore, it's so difficult, I have so much going on, I can't do it anymore. But we got through it and we made it to the end of the challenge. So yeah, it was day 35, so just before the halfway mark it started to get really tedious, really hard, and I was very low on energy at that time as well. Which part of the 75 hard was the easiest for you? Probably the water. I drink so much water every single day, so I got the water done in no time. And then one last question, what workouts did you do for 75 hard? So my gym workout was a program that I made myself, and I have created a complete 75 hard workout program, the exact workout program that I followed whilst on my 75 hard journey. It is a downloadable PDF that you can access on your phone, or you can print out, whichever you want yourself. And on top of the full 75-day workout program, you will also get an accountability discipline tracker. And this is something that I wish I had whilst doing my 75 hard journey, to physically see the tasks that I was completing each day and to motivate me that extra bit more to continue on to finish the rest of the days. With this tracker, all the tasks are written on the tracker, and every day that you achieve something and you finish a task, you tick it off on the tracker sheet. This is now available on my website, amywiley.com, but I'll also link it below for you guys, and it is limited edition. I only will have it available for 4 weeks, and after that it is completely gone, never to be seen again. But with so many people asking the program that I did follow for the 75 hard challenge, that gave me the results that I did get. There is a beginner style in it as well as an advanced, because I know not everybody will be at the same level, so there's something in there for everybody. And for anyone thinking of doing the 75 hard challenge, it is one of the best things you will ever do, and I wish you the very best of luck with it. All I can say is I'm actually delighted that I did it. Although extremely challenging, it has been one of the best things I've ever done, because the rewards I've got from doing the challenge have been incredible. If you have any more questions on the 75 hard challenge or anything at all, pop them in the comments below and I'll be back to you as soon as I can. But thank you guys so much for watching. I hate asking this question, but if you haven't already, I would really appreciate it if you hit the subscribe button. It really helps my channel, and also the like button as well, but it's completely up to yourselves. I don't want to push any of that on you. I don't know why I always feel so awkward asking that, but come here. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in my next video.